A very warm and good morning to all of you. It gives me immense pleasure, and we feel honored to have all the thought leaders joining us from across the country for our fifth National Smart, Sustainable, and Safe Cities Conclave. On behalf of GovConnect team, Srinagar Smart City Limited team, and our partners, I welcome you all. As we all know that it has been a continuous journey on organizing forums on smart cities with many of you supporting us as a constant force and mentors. Our efforts have been to bring all the key stakeholders on one platform to discuss, brainstorm, and cull out some practical lessons of best practices on various initiatives. During the day, we will have around 40 plus speakers from across the country and many distinguished delegates joining us from across the geographies. I would like to thank Athar sir, who is the Commissioner Srinagar Municipal Corporation and CEO Srinagar Smart City Limited, and his team for providing us the support, guidance, and showing confidence in us to build this mega virtual conclave. I would also like to thank our partners without whom building this event of such scale would not have been possible. Our host partner Srinagar Smart City Limited, our powered by partner Hewlett Packard Enterprise, our design and technology partner Autodesk, our 3D mapping partner Genesis, and our digital storage partner Western Digital. With this, I would welcome Shri Athar Aamir Khan, who is the Commissioner Srinagar Municipal Corporation CEO and CEO Srinagar Smart City Limited, to give an introductory note and set the context for the conclave. Thanks once again. Welcome, Athar sir. Over to you, sir.
Uh, Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome all the dignitaries and our guests in the inaugural session. Our respected advisor to the Smart Cities Board, Shri Keshav Varma sir, our Principal Secretary, Housing and Urban Development Department, Dheeraj Gupta sir, Mayor of Srinagar, Shri Azim Mattu sahab, General Manager Planning Anuj Malhotra Saab, and we'll also be joined by our worthy Chief Secretary J&K Shri Arun Kumar Mehta Saab. I would also extend my heartiest welcome to all the participants, all the delegates and speakers who are joining us from across more than 30 cities today in the different panel discussions that are going to be held in this fifth National Sustainable Smart Cities Conclave. We're also being joined by the viewers from all across the 100 smart cities, and this is also being fed live and shown live on the different platforms, including that on iLounge and that of GovConnect, besides that of the smart cities. In this, just to set a little bit context about the National Smart Cities Conclave, the basic idea behind this is the idea sharing and as well as the cross learning. So how do different cities work? What's going on in different cities? What has worked in those cities and what has not worked in those cities? That experience sharing, that idea sharing, that's what's the major objective of this conclave. We believe that as Srinagar Smart City, we and our entire team, as well as our sister city in Jammu, we're going to be the biggest beneficiaries of this conclave, because we have somehow with this event been able to get some of the finest minds on board who are going to discuss various issues. We have around 6 panel discussions. One of the first panel discussion is on investing in culture and creativity for sustainable urban development. Another big panel discussion is on effective governance and government service deliveries through digital transformation. We also have another discussion on building smart, resilient, safe and sustainable cities of future through better urban planning and infrastructure. We all have another discussion on smart cities and safe cities, the digital transformation impact. We also have one discussion on urban digital twins for smart cities. There's also a discussion on the city's core infrastructure elements with smart utilities, facilities and governance. And in the last discussion for today's conclave would be on intelligent, safe and equitable urban mobility. And in all these discussions, we are having experts both from the private sector as well as the leaders who are leading this change in the different cities across the country. With this August gathering, with this kind of a participation, we're expecting a great amount of cross learning. So we are also honored to have with us our Divisional Commissioner Kashmir, as well as the Chairman of Srinagar Smart City, PK Pole sir, who has just joined the inaugural session. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Aamir.
In this, in the conclave, we again, the main idea behind is, when we are talking about sustainable cities, how do we define a sustainable city? What's the concept behind a sustainable city? What kind of interventions should be done? Are these, many people have this idea that probably smart cities in many places have got confined to what's called aesthetics and beautification of the city, when it's not the case. When most of the interventions, they have to follow two basic criteria of sustainability and utility, whether these interventions are of utility, whether they are of utilization to cities or not, whether they improve the life of a city or not. In a way, as some of the experts in this domain say, that a smart city is one which works. So how do we make a city which works for the people? That's the discussion that we are going to have in this conclave. We're going to understand what kind of interventions are there, and what should also be the mode of execution. One of the major challenges that we have been facing, and many of the cities have been facing, is in the mode of execution, is in the capacities. So how do we build capacities in investing so much? How do we build capacities in conceptualizing such projects? And also then, how do we get to execute those? So how is that capacity built both in the institutions of local self-governance bodies, as well as in the local private partners or the contractors who are finally executing these projects on the ground? So we look forward to hearing all the esteemed panelists that we have with us today in this conclave. And I would once again extend my heartfelt welcome to all the dignitaries and our esteemed guests in this inaugural session, and all the speakers who are joining us in this conclave, and also all the viewers who are watching us live across the country. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Athar, sir. Very, very well. You have set the context very well for the conclave. So, with this, I would like to invite Shri PK Pole, sir, who is the Divisional Commissioner Kashmir and Chairman Srinagar Smart City Limited, UT of Jammu and Kashmir, to give his introductory address, sir. Welcome, sir.
शुक्रिया सभी को। आज के जो ऑनलाइन कॉन्क्लेव है स्मार्ट सिटीज पर, उसमें मैं श्रीनगर स्मार्ट सिटी की तरफ से सभी को वेलकम करता हूं। कोविड-19 के जमाने में ऑनलाइन हर कोई चीज जो है ऑनलाइन हुई है, और मेरे ख्याल से स्मार्ट सिटी में तो डेफिनेटली ये होनी ही चाहिए। न्यू नॉर्मल्स जो है उस एरा में अब हम है। स्मार्ट सिटीज जो इंडिया के अलग अलग स्टेट्स में है, अपने आप में हर एक सिटी अलग अलग कुछ कर रही है। क्लास लर्निंग या पीयर लर्निंग से काफी चीजें हम सीख सकते हैं। आज का जो ऑनलाइन कॉन्क्लेव आयोजित किया है स्मार्ट सिटी श्रीनगर, जिसकी होस्ट है, इसमें ना कि सिर्फ महुआ की साइड से, इवन दूसरे स्मार्ट सिटी की साइड से भी काफी लोग पार्टिसिपेट्स करने वाले हैं, जिससे श्रीनगर स्मार्ट सिटी, जम्मू स्मार्ट सिटी तो डेफिनेटली लाभान्वित होगी। दूसरे भी स्मार्ट सिटीज को हो सकता है कुछ जो जम्मू स्मार्ट सिटी या श्रीनगर स्मार्ट सिटी से भी उनको लगे कि नहीं, यहाँ भी कोई चीज है जो इनोवेटिव है, नए तरीके से की जा रही है, अगर उनके यहाँ भी वो एप्लीकेबल हो सकती है तो वो अप्लाई कर सकते हैं। आज का जो सेमिनार श्रीनगर स्मार्ट सिटी की साइड से आयोजित किया है, मैं फिर से एक बार सभी का वेलकम करता हूँ, खुशामदीद करता हूँ। शुक्रिया, थैंक यू।
Thank you, sir. And I'd like to invite our next speaker, who is Shri Dheeraj Gupta, who is the Principal Secretary, Housing and Urban Development Department and Mission Director, Smart Cities, UT of Jammu and Kashmir. Welcome, sir.
In the fifth
Stay on mute.
smart. Am I audible?
Audible, sir, audible.
Yes. It's my pleasure to join the fifth Smart City Conclave being hosted by Srinagar Smart City and GovConnect. It's an initiative for cross-learning and idea sharing, as my Commissioner Athar has put it, amongst the cities, states, as well as between the government and private sector organizations. This will help in taking our mission of making our cities truly smart and sustainable forward. On this occasion, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to the Honorable Mayor, Srinagar, Mr. Junaid Mattu, to the Chief Secretary JNK, Mr. Arun Mehta, to Mr. Keshav Varma, who is the Chairman of our Smart Cities Board, senior officials from different states and UTs, commissioners, CEOs of different smart cities, leaders from private sector who are joining us to the conclave today. We all realize that cities are central to our lives, both social as well as economic. Historically, cities have led the progress both in our social institutions as well as in our material standards. The role of cities is becoming increasingly important as even greater population of the world is becoming increasingly urban. Therefore, it is imperative to ensure that our cities are not just surviving but thriving. They have adequate infrastructure, are efficient, safe, and sustainable. In short, they have to be the showcases of our civilizational progress. In J&K, the responsibility for urban development is primarily on the Housing and Urban Development Department, as we all know, even though many activities involved therein form a significant part of the mandate of other departments as well. In this situation, what we have seen is that integration and coordination of activities of different stakeholders operating in the urban landscape often becomes challenging. Though every stakeholder entity tries its best to improve the service delivery, the infrastructure and amenities falling under its domain because of lack of effective coordination and integrating mechanism, the overall outcomes often fall short of expectations of the city's citizenry. It's not that efforts were not made to overcome this lack of coordination and synergy, but perhaps that job could not be done well. Smart Cities mission provided an important opportunity in this direction, as both the key cities of J&K, Jammu, and Srinagar were selected under the mission, bringing together various actors in the selected cities for coordinated planning and action, and for taking the selected cities to the next level of public service delivery through smart interventions, whether through process reengineering or through technological interventions, was actually brought into focus by the Smart City mission. At Government of J&K, we took this opportunity, which was soon followed by other important changes in governance mechanism as well, to take home the message in right earnest. Many important institutional measures, the lack of which was acting as an impediment, were addressed and resolved. These included devolution of funds functionaries upon the corporations and the ULBs to make them more effective in service delivery, holding elections to ensure people's participation as well as accountability of these institutions, making it a reality. Greater financial and administrative powers were also devolved upon them. Capacity building has always been a challenge. Again, the Smart City mission provided an opportunity to take the capacities to the next levels. To ensure a robust integration framework, MMRDAs were instituted, AMTAs were created, Metro Rail as well as city bus services are being introduced in both these cities, which are expected to meet the urban mobility needs of the citizenry in long term. Under the Srinagar Smart City mission, we have taken up projects ranging from riverfront development, heritage conservation, urban mobility, complete street design, market development, development of handicrafts and arts, information technology interventions including development of ICCC and ITMSS, green initiative like urban plantation, scientific solid waste development, etc. Specific projects and initiatives will be dwelled upon in more detail as this event goes along. We have completed projects more than 200 crores in the two cities and have projects worth 1700 crores in pipeline, and we hope to complete them in this and the next financial year with the target of awarding 100% of these projects in the current financial year. Srinagar City, the summer capital of J&K, is at the heart of the Kashmir Valley, which is the crown of India. It's one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities and is uniquely charming. Some of you may be aware that Srinagar has recently been included in the UNESCO's prestigious Creative City Network in the category of folk art, culture, and craft. While Srinagar has unique challenges, some of which are more nuanced, it also has unique strengths and has a lot of potential to become best in class city. A city which is for the people and a city which works for the people, as Athar had put it. We are working towards making that actually a reality. To conclude, I would once again welcome you all and thank everyone for joining us in this conclave today. Because of the ongoing pandemic, the mode of interaction, as Pandurang put it, presently virtual. Going forward, as conditions improve, I would look forward to welcoming you in Srinagar in person. For today, I look forward to having your valuable ideas and experience on making cities better places to live and would be more than thankful for any valuable input you may have in respect of Srinagar or for that matter even for Jammu. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir. We have been joined by our Chief Secretary, Sir Arun Kumar Mehta, sir, who is also here. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, good morning. I hope you can hear me now.
Good morning,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you're audible, sir. So,
Sir, this is the inaugural session of the conclave that has already that we are part of. Sir, in this today's conclave, we have around speakers from more than 30 cities, around 40 of the speakers who will be discussing various issues ranging from creativity and sustainable development to urban mobility, sir. So, sir, we're very fortunate and we're grateful for you to have joined us this morning, sir. Thank you so much for joining, sir. Sir.
Okay.
so I would like to invite our next speaker, who is Mr. Shri Keshav Varma, sir, who is the Chairman Advisory Board of Smart Cities, UT of Jammu and Kashmir, and Chairman Sabarmati Riverfront Development Corporation Limited, Ahmedabad. Keshav, sir, over
Mr.
to you,
Fahim,
sir.
I will leave at 10:50 sharp.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. So Keshav, after Keshav, sir, we'll invite you, sir.
अगर आप पहले
Okay.
बोलना चाहें तो वो बोल दें.
No, it's up to you. No, you perfectly all right. I'll be leaving at 10:50
Okay.
irrespective of what else happens.
I'll try to keep it short. So, good morning and delighted to see you. I'm in a hotel in DC. It's rather cold here, as it must be in Srinagar. So, Honorable Shri Arun Mehta, Chief Secretary of J&K, Honorable Mayor of Srinagar, Mr. Junaid Mattu, Shri Dheeraj Gupta, Principal Secretary, Commissioner Shri Pandupurang Pole, Athar, my dear colleagues, Avny and other municipal commissioners and other city officials who are joining. It's truly a pleasure to join and to talk about smart cities. So what I would do is to dip into my own experience a bit and try to bring out how there could be some defining principles. क्या principles ऐसे हैं जो कि smartness को define कर सकते हैं. तो मेरा एक belief हमेशा रहा है that a great city expresses the genius of its people. वो चाहे श्रीनगर हो या जम्मू हो या लखनऊ हो या दिल्ली हो या बॉम्बे हो, वो अपनी तरीके का अपना comparative advantage को express करती है. And that is how the shape and the culture of a city evolves because the people give it a character. So what I have done is I have been thinking about what could be smart, and I have tried to convey it in few principles of governance, livability, competitiveness, bankability and environmental sustainability. तो पहले गवर्नेंस की बात करते हैं. और ये खास करके इंडिया से ताल्लुक रखती है बात कि गवर्नेंस में एट द लेवल ऑफ सिटीज, स्मार्ट सिटीज मिशन हैज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड and infused a sense of professionalism, which is critical to ensure that a city can actually deliver their mandate. आजकल इतना प्रेशर है अर्बन डेवलपमेंट के ऊपर कि सिटीज़ को प्रोफेशनलाइज करने की ज़रूरत है. और ये बड़ी ख़ास करके एक बड़ी अच्छी बात हुई है जम्मू एंड कश्मीर में कि बोथ श्रीनगर एंड जम्मू have gone in for a very strong dose of professionalism. They have got young professionals coming in as architects. They are people coming from His Excellency's Governor's program of IITs. And they are actually creating a new paradigm of urban development. उससे क्या हो रहा है कि शहर अपना एक विजन और अपना एक फॉरवर्ड ट्रेजेक्ट्री को क्लियरली डिफाइन कर पा रहे हैं बहुत एक बड़े तरीके से. As a result of which, what just Dheeraj spoke about the large projects which have started coming up in both Srinagar as well as in Jammu. So governance मेरा भी एक खास वो रहा है specialization during my career. तो अगर कोई मुझसे पूछता है कि if there is one strong reason why public sector and other things could be turned around, I would convey that to be professionalism. अहमदाबाद में भी जब वहाँ पर प्लेग थी, bankruptcy थी और जो इलेक्टेड बॉडी है उसको सुपरसीड कर दिया गया था, उसको टर्न अराउंड करने में भी प्रोफेशनलिज्म वाज द फर्स्ट थिंग. सो दैट इज ट्रू. द मेन thing which is happening in Jammu and Kashmir, and I think it is truly something to celebrate कि आप लोगों ने ऐसे decisions लिए हैं. The second issue is livability. हर शहर में मैं आज DC से आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ, यहाँ इतनी कोशिश रहती है कि लोग खुश रहें, लोगों को सहूलियतें मिलें, लोगों को ट्रेल्स हों जिससे जहाँ वॉक कर सकें. इस तरीके से प्लानिंग की जाए कि वहाँ पर एक खुशहाली हो, एक अच्छी फीलिंग हो, एक हेल्थ की जो चीज़ आए और लिवेबिलिटी इस तरीके की भी हो कि जो उनका लिविंग एनवायरनमेंट है, जो उनका अर्बन एनवायरनमेंट है वो खूबसूरत हो. सिटी ब्यूटीफुल का कॉन्सेप्ट इज़ टेकन वेरी सीरियसली एंड प्लानिंग इज़ एक्सट्रीमली क्रिटिकल इन दिस. हम लोग प्लानिंग पे को ज़्यादा तवज्जो नहीं दे पाते हैं. मैं जम्मू एंड कश्मीर के ही पर्सपेक्टिव से नहीं बात कर रहा हूँ, अदर सिटीज़ की भी बात कर रहा हूँ. वी हैव poured in a lot of resources, but we have not been able to create beautiful cities, well planned, livable cities. So ये एक चीज़ देखने की ज़रूरत. दूसरा, when we talk about livability, we must talk about equity. आजकल poverty has urbanized, and it is important to think about the poor. It is also critical to think about pedestrians, about public transport, because जो शहर आजकल प्लान किए जाते हैं, they are more being planned to cater to cars and to the rich. शहर गरीब लोगों को किस तरीके से सहूलियत मिले इसको ज़रा मद्देनज़र रखते नहीं हैं लोग. तो ज़रूरी है कि एक्विटी हो हमारी प्लानिंग में और सबको इस चीज़ को देखा जाए. और ख़ासकर आजकल कोविड की वजह से प्लानिंग और भी ज़रूरी हो गई है क्योंकि ये कंजेस्टेड एरियाज जो शहर के हैं दे आर हॉट स्पॉट्स और उनको अगर हमको रिलीव करना है तो हमको प्लान भी इस तरीके से करना पड़ेगा कि खुशहाली आए. तो हम लोगों ने अहमदाबाद में जो सेकंड फेज़ लिया है साबरमती रिवर फ्रंट का, उसमें हमने कोशिश ये की है, दो प्रिंसिपल्स हैं. एक प्रिंसिपल है प्रिंसिपल ऑफ 15 मिनट सिटी, that you can work and stay within 15 minutes and actually walk down to your workplace and come back, and in the meantime go to sports facilities and other things. So It's an integrated development concept. It is also a concept about building in nature. यानी जो भी हम काम करेंगे उसको प्योर हेल्थ और नेचर को दिमाग में रख के करेंगे. तो उसकी प्लानिंग, अब ये तो इस मौका नहीं है, मैं आपको दिखा नहीं पा रहा हूँ, मगर इसको इस तरीके से प्लान किया है कि एक वहाँ की लिवेबिलिटी इन्हेंस हो, लोगों को एक ऐसा एनवायरनमेंट मिले जिससे लोग रिलैक्स्ड फील करें एंड दे कैन इन्फ्यूज द फीलिंग ऑफ जॉय. इसमें यह भी ज़रूरी है कि जितने भी हमारे वाटर बॉडीज़ हैं उसको हम ठीक करते जाएं. देयर इज़ अ लॉट ऑफ वर्क गोइंग ऑन both in Srinagar and Jammu on improving the waterfronts, and that actually waterfront de-stresses people. There's a lot of psychologists who have talked about how waterfronts actually creates a joyful, stress-free environment. So ये चीज़ भी देखने की ज़रूरत है in terms of livability. और मैंने आपसे सिटी ब्यूटीफुल की तो बात की है. हमारे बहुत सारी क्वेंट सिटीज़ हैं विच आर लूजिंग कैरेक्टर. उनको देखना पड़ेगा कि उनका जो बेसिक कैरेक्टर है, द कैरेक्टर दैट गिव्स श्रीनगर द क्रिएटिव सिटी नेटवर्क में जो रिकग्निशन मिली है, वो कैरेक्टर डेवलपमेंट से सबड्यू ना हो जाए. तो ये देखने की ज़रूरत है कि बहुत ज़्यादा फ्लाईओवर्स बन जाएं, बहुत सारी ऐसी चीज़ें हों जो उसकी खूबसूरत जो चीज़ें हैं उनको दबा दे. ये नहीं होना चाहिए. Third thing is competitiveness. Cities are engines of economic growth, and it is critical that cities are positioned in a way that enhances their competitive advantage, their comparative advantage, and they become areas of investments. हिंदुस्तान में और साउथ एशिया में कम से कम एक दिक्कत क्या है कि सिटीज़ को इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट से अलग रखा जाता है. इट्स मोस्टली industrial development and other things उसको आगे बढ़ाती. Next is bankability, which is about bonds, and the last I would talk about environment sustainability, which is something I would invite participants to look at, the idea of ecological and economic development once we had done known as Eco2 at the World Bank. Let me stop here because I think time is a constraint and Honorable Chief Secretary has to leave. So let me stop here, and I would like to wish all of you the very best for today's conclave. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Keshav sir, for your great keynote address where you focused on the sustainability, the livability index, and the ecological part. And now I would like to welcome Shri Arun Kumar Mehta sir, who is the Chief Secretary, UT of Jammu and Kashmir, to give his keynote address, sir. So over to you.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and warm welcome to Mr. Junaid Mattu, Mayor of Srinagar, Keshav Varma ji, Dheeraj Gupta ji, Athar, Fahimul, and everybody present here. Let me begin with saying that, like Mr. Keshav Varma said, cities are engines of economic growth, and urbanization is to be embraced and not looked down upon. I think in our country, we had this problem of always fighting with this concept of whether urbanization is good or bad. The fact is that most countries, their GDP is basically located in the city. If you look at Japan, probably more than 90% of their GDP comes from few cities. So cities have to be the engines of economic growth. And if you realize that, and when we talk about smart cities, you can think in terms of smartness in very many ways, but without wasting time, it has to be at what cost you are providing goods and services, and how do you compare with other cities which provide similar goods and services, and whether you are competitive or not, and it can be measured. So if you are not measuring that, merely few wireless technologies here and there don't make you smart. So in terms of how I define smartness is very simple. I believe that you can measure your GDP, cities can measure their GDP, and all cities, I would request Dheeraj Gupta ji that out of 78 ULBs, at least we should start measuring GDP of the two cities, Srinagar and Jammu, and see how smart we are in terms of what we invest and what outcome we get. If you are an economic engine, then you should aspire that what is that you are producing and what in how much time you want to double your GDP. And I would request that that measurement should begin. So my first request today will be to Dheeraj Gupta ji and Keshav Varma ji that let's have a plan that we start measuring GDP, and whether we are on the right path or not, we start looking at that. That's important. These GDP figures are available for few cities, and there are some private entities which are doing that, and that should be shared. Sustainability, if you are talking of smartness, you cannot talk of smartness without looking at sustainability issue. And when I look at sustainability, it has to be environmental sustainability, it has to be financial sustainability, and it has to be resource sustainability. So it's three components I'm mentioning, and I request Dheeraj Gupta ji to take note of it so that we can work further on this. If you're looking at financial sustainability, the average of India a few years back was 50% at least. And in J&K, we are much lower than 50%. If you are looking at the second tier and first tier of governance, it's union government or state government, for all your finances, you will never become smart. But because you are dependent, you cannot plan for yourself. So if you want to plan for yourself, you have to look at resources which you can generate. And cities, by virtue of what they are, they can generate resources. If cities are not generating resources, there is something terribly wrong with that. And this is not how cities can ever grow. For example, the land value is so high that the moment you unlock the value of land, you become sustainable. So my request will be that at least 10 cities in J&K should start looking at financial sustainability plans. They develop that, they walk that journey, and at least Jammu and Srinagar must do that. Resource sustainability, environmental sustainability, I would talk of air, water, and soil. And air pollution, water pollution, we do pretty well. So we should be very fine. But in terms of resource efficiency, we should look at recycling. How much can you recycle? On the recycling front, we may be pretty average. So are you at least recycling 20% of water that you waste water? That's something that you look at. The second point I would like is about mobility. And without a good mobility, cities can never become what they need to become. Cities can either become engines of growth or they become a gridlock. And many cities do become a gridlock. You just cannot transport people efficiently. And to that extent, we shouldn't be looking at only high-end solutions. One of the problems we face is that we are always looking at high-end solutions. That's not the way to look at it. So every city must have a mobility plan. Even if it is a matador plan, so be it. But at least there should be a plan, you should implement it. My third point is about aspiration. Cities must aspire to become what they wish to become. When you talk about my city, my pride, what is the pride about? The city dweller must feel that he has a stake in it and he must have an ownership. And that can happen only if you involve people in your planning process. Now, currently, we don't have ward sabhas, and I request that we walk on the path of creating ward sabhas where people can actually participate and hold government to account for what they're doing and what they're not doing. And it's only then that you can actually draw up a financial sustainability plan, because people will think that they have a stake in what is happening around them. So I strongly suggest that we look at what aspirations we have. What does city of Srinagar want to become? What city of Jammu wants to become? What is the skyline they want? What is the product they want? If we talk of one district, one product, why can't we think in terms of my city, my product? And what is the product we want? Do we want to become an IT hub? We want to become a tourist hub? What is it that we want to become? We want to become a religious hub. We have to understand that what is the growth stimulus that we can create, and we should definitely think in terms of doing that. My next point is about responsiveness. If you don't have a responsive governance, you will not get the result because people won't have buy-in. To create buy-in, we must create systems which will enable people to participate. And I would request that RP City, RP Rai, we should run a campaign on that. Every ward, there should be organized camps where people can come and talk and talk to the people who are trying to help them. and the plans are drawn according to them. It will help quite a lot. My last point is transparency, technology, and training. On transparency, I would request that we move into public disclosure. And I would request that public disclosure plans should be made. We should have public disclosure of what service we are providing and let people see it. Because if you are transparent, you would like to do that. 2 minutes. Technology is very important, but technology is a means to an end and not an end in itself. But you should have technology. And I would request that in terms of future, you should not look at only wireless technology, but if you need to wire, you probably need to do that. Training and capacity building for everybody is very important. So I'm closing with just a few thoughts. If you're not measuring, you can never become smart. So all the 78 ULBs must start service level benchmarking and start measuring and reporting. And that should be reported in awards. My second point is that city financial sustainability plan must be made. Environmental sustainability plan should be a third plan you should make. Fourth plan should be mobility plan. Then fifth plan should be how do you want to develop economically, and GDP plan should be there. And the livelihood plans must be there. How much livelihood you will generate. Public disclosure must become a reality in J&K, and we should work toward that, and we should ensure it happens in the next few days. Ward Sabha must be done, and that with that, I would request that all the points I have made. And last point I would like to make, which is very, very important. We have been talking in this country about urban renewal. We haven't done it. You don't start with the same set of clothes and keep wearing that for all years of your life. You must renew, and we must create urban renewal agency. And it can be done. It doesn't require finance, it just requires thought process. So with these thoughts, thank you very much. I'll have to leave, but thank you for your patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Arun sir. And I think so nothing better can have been placed in the way you have put this, set the context in terms of talking about GDP, sustainability. Means like city needs to generate revenue, recycling, mobility, aspiration, responsiveness, transparency, and urban renewal. These are the key factors for any cities to focus on. So with this, I would like to welcome our Honorable Mayor of Srinagar, who is Mr. Junaid Azim Mattu, to give his keynote address. So Junaid sir, over to you.
My greetings, heartiest greetings, very good morning to Keshav Varma ji, Principal Secretary, Housing and Urban Development Department, Shri Dheeraj Gupta ji, Haque Saab, and Commissioner, Srinagar Municipal Corporation, and CEO, Srinagar Smart City Corporation Limited, Athar Saab. There have been some very insightful points that have been made by all speakers till now, including Dheeraj Sahab, Keshav ji, and our Honorable Chief Secretary of J&K, and how CEO Smart City detailed the very concept of smart urbanization at the very beginning of this inaugural session. I would also like to start from there and also highlight and reiterate the fact that, as the worthy Chief Secretary rightly said, that for far too long we have looked at urbanization as a challenge rather than as an opportunity, both in economic perspective and both in a cultural and infrastructural perspective. Any student of economics will tell you that urbanization is the mainstay of the economic growth of a developing nation. And we have seen that not just in our own country, but we've seen that in other developed economies, some in our immediate neighborhood. Urbanization has been the key engine of economic sustainability and growth in China, for example, in Singapore, for example, in so many other cities. So the concept of a smart city is intertwined with the appreciation of the imperativeness of urbanization. And we've had these discussions numerous times, that how does the concept of a smart city dovetail into the cultural heritage and social legacies and constructs that have been inherited, and those that constitute the city of Srinagar, the persona of Srinagar, as Keshav ji rightly said, that in our efforts to go leaps and bounds towards creating a smart city, we should also preserve and conserve and also nurture the characteristics that enabled us to get the UNESCO Smart Creative Cities tag. So we are very conscious of that, and I'm sure Smart City is also very conscious of that. A lot of projects being worked on by the Smart City Corporation Limited are sort of hybrid in the manner that they take into account the uniqueness of Srinagar and also the future aspirations of Srinagar. Srinagar, like any other city, has a multitude of needs and requirements. There is a residential requirement, there is a commercial requirement, there is a retail requirement, there is an industrial requirement. And all these requirements are essential and unavoidable, so to say. For decades, we have gone through this policy perception that Srinagar is mainly has a residential persona. It's a heritage city. A heritage city doesn't mean that we don't have economic requirements, we don't have industrial requirements, we don't have infrastructural needs, we don't have urban housing challenges. And I say this to everybody that I meet, that I foresee that in the next 10 or 15 years, we're going to have enormous urban housing challenges, especially for the poorer sections, the lower and the lower middle class, the working class. So I would request Srinagar Smart City Corporation to focus on those challenges as well. They are excellent work. They have created a sense and spirit of positivity in the city, and that positivity is very important. As Keshavji rightly said, that the happiness index is a very real thing now in terms of urban policy. Forest trails in your backyard, or bike trails, where you can actually go with your family and have a peaceful time, and the amount of the peace of mind, the collective peace of mind of a society and a city. That is also important, the livability index of a city. And a lot of projects that Srinagar Smart City Corporation is working on, especially something that is very dear to Keshavji, for instance, and something that is being worked on, the Jhelum Riverfront development, I think is a landmark project which brings a lot of positivity to the city, in the terms that this is some place where we've envisaged that the young people of the city can go and experience what a modern social experience entails in terms of being a city which embraces its own future. So we are very excited about that, and I hope that we continue to have knowledge platforms such as these with other smart cities and with other stakeholders. And I would like to congratulate the organizers of this conclave. In better times, in normal times, we would probably be face to face, but this is as good. The intent is spot on. I would like to congratulate CEO Srinagar Smart City and the chairman of Smart City Corporation Limited, Pole Saab, as well as the director of GovConnect and all allied partners who organized this. As far as Srinagar is concerned, we are trying to ensure that the elected body is in tune with the vision of transforming Srinagar, both in an infrastructural context and also in a policy context, into a city which embraces this challenge as an opportunity, as I rightly said. I hope that a day comes when we see multiplexes in Srinagar, that when we see community housing in Srinagar, we actually see a normal social life in Srinagar past sunset. These are very simple things, but I think these things and these aspirations are integral to the very concept of a livable smart city. As the mayor of Srinagar, I am very grateful for all the efforts that are being made to beautify the city, to transform its urban infrastructure, in urban mobility, in increasing the livability in the city. And I hope that we continue to work together, the elected body, the executive, as well as Srinagar Smart City Corporation, as we have been doing in the past, to deliver a transformative, drastic change, because I think incremental change in the context of Srinagar will not do anymore. So I hope that transformational change is around the corner. Once again, express my gratitude for being afforded an opportunity to address this august, eclectic group of people with great experience. And I again congratulate Srinagar Smart City Corporation Limited for organizing this conclave. Thank you.
Thank you, Junaid sir. Thank you for giving your time for this conclave. So with this, I would like my backend team to present a small token of appreciation, because this is a digital forum, so we are giving e-certificates as a speaker. So the backend team, the first certificate is for Shri Athar sir. If you can just put it here, we'll email it also. Thank you, Athar sir.
Thank you.
And the next is for Mr. Shri Dheeraj sir. Thank you, Dheeraj sir. The next certificate is for Keshav sir. Keshav sir, thanks a lot. Thank you for being a part of this conclave and giving your keynote address, sir.
You're very well.
And the last one is for Junaid sir. Thank you, everyone. So with this, we would like to... Yes, sir.
So I would like to thank all the dignitaries and esteemed guests who have joined us in this inaugural session. Our Honorable Mayor of Srinagar, Shri Junaid Mattu Sahab, our the Chief Secretary J&K, Arun Kumar Mehta Sahab, our Advisor Board of J&K Smart Cities and Chairman Sabarmati Riverfront Development Corporation, Shri Keshav Varma sir, our Principal Secretary Housing and Urban Development, Shri Dheeraj Gupta Sahab, and also our Divisional Commissioner Kashmir, as well as Chairman Srinagar Smart City Board of Directors, Shri P.K. Pole Sahab, and Director GovConnect Fahimul for conducting and for moderating the session. And we're really fortunate that all of you have joined us this morning. The insights, the discussion, and the speeches and the addresses were quite insightful and of immense value to us. And going forward, as the day goes along and our panel discussions and different speakers, they discuss the different issues that are of immense importance to cities across the country. We look forward to learning more. We look forward to assimilating more and taking this conclave as an opportunity to, in a way, streamline what we are doing, in a way to improvise on how we are doing things. So my deepest gratitude to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Athar.
Yes, sir.
Do I have your permission to now?
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely, sir.
Sir, absolutely, sir. Sir.
You take care. All right. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Junaid sir. Thank